Hey everyone, my name is Thomas McCormick, and today I want to share with you a brief goal-setting workshop that I recently had the privilege of sharing with my own team that got some positive feedback, and I think it's something that resonates with everybody because if you're anything like me, at one point or another, you've had a New Year's resolution that fell short. Maybe it was a financial goal, maybe it was a relationship goal, maybe it was a weight loss goal, but for whatever reason it didn't pan out. And in this video, I want to address some of the reasons why so many goals don't pan out, but then I also want to share with you a proven strategy that have given results in my life and in many others. And I'm going to speak directly right now to the leaders or anybody interested in human development. This is going to sound very much like Tony Robbins' goal-setting workshop. I'm going to cut to the chase. It's because it's 100% based on that. I think Tony Robbins' information is incredible, and it's made changes in my life, so it's something that I want to change. So I've condensed it a little bit to make it a little bit easier, make it a little bit more digestible for you. But if you say, hey, this sounds just like Tony Robbins, it's because it is. So, moving right on, why do so many goals fall short? Why do so many goals not work? Well, we touched on one example, is most goals are set on January 1st. Most of them are New Year's resolutions. Most of them are never followed up on. They're not clearly defined. And there's no accountability behind it. And it's not written down. So, if any of those things you're guilty of, which I was guilty of, there's nothing wrong with it, but that's probably a good reason or a good indication that that goal is going to fall short. So, I'm going to take you back to a case study that kind of illustrates this point and shows you the power of being well-defined and having clearly written goals. In 1953 at Yale University, a group of the graduating seniors were pulled off to do a survey. Now, of this survey, and I don't know all the questions except for this one, the question that I think for the purpose of this video is most powerful is, do you write clearly defined written goals? Well, of that graduating class that was surveyed, 3% came back and said, yes, we have clearly defined written goals. So this test group was studied for the next 20 years, and in 1973, they brought all these graduating seniors back, and they, did another survey. They looked through it, but what they found that was so interesting, that really got me excited about goal setting when I first started this workshop, was that 3% who had clearly defined written goals had accumulated more personal wealth than the other 97% combined. So some of these strategies we're going to go through, I would hope that 3% group had done the same things because I want you to achieve those same results. I want you to have the weight loss goal. I want you to have the financial goal. I want you to have the relationship goal. I'm going to show you how to get that. So we're going to jump right into step one. And before we even get there, I want to be sure you know that this is an active exercise. I hope that you're writing this down because I'm going to ask you to have a written portion of this, and it's important to achieving these goals. If you don't write it down, that's fine, but you're really not going to get the full effect of this. It's going to be like a bucket of paint, right? So a bucket of paint has all the potential in the world to have a newly painted car, newly painted house, but unless it's applied, it's not going to make a difference. So don't be a bucket of paint. Write this down, and we're going to jump into step one, which is to get clear. We need to get clear on exactly what you want. So write down what it is, exactly what you want. And I want you to dream big here because I want you to achieve big. So whatever it is you want, write it down. But then, right beneath that, I want you to write the purpose for that. I want you to connect some emotions why you absolutely need to make this goal a reality. Because I believe that purpose is stronger than outcome. And again, another Tony Robbins quote, but purpose is stronger than outcome. You need something that gets you up in the morning and gets you excited to achieve this goal. If it's a goal like, hey, I want to achieve my sales quota. That's great. That's good. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I need you to want more. Because once we get that passion, that motivation, that emotion behind it, I promise you will achieve. So, take a minute, pause me, and write down exactly why you're going to achieve this goal, why you're going to make this a reality in your life. So, pause this video, and then come back with me in a minute. And once you're back, and welcome back to those of you who followed my instructions, we're going to move on to step two, which is we're going to set and prioritize achievable steps. So, in order to achieve your main goal, what are some of the things that you must first do, right? And these things that you put together, and we need a list here. It's kind of like a to-do list, right? We're going to need steps because we're looking at big goals here. So what are some steps to achieve that? And these steps, what's important, you need to remember before writing these down, they need to be things that only you are responsible for. So in my position, I talked to a bunch of sales professionals, and they all want to exceed their sales quota, which is great. But I said, okay, well, what do we need to do? And someone said, hey, I want to close 2 to 3 sales a week. Well, that's good. And I agree, you should be doing that, but you can't be in control of that. What can you be in control of? Maybe how many phone calls you make, how many meetings you have. That's something you can control. I had a friend who I did this with. who they wanted to move to a different state, start a new career. And I said, well, what do you first need to do? And they said, well, Thomas, I need to get, 5 interviews a week. I said, is that something you can control? The answer is no. What can you control? Pushing your resume across the desk of 10 decision makers a day, something like that, right? Because you need to take full accountability for this. If you miss this goal or if you achieve this goal, you and you alone need to be responsible. So I need you to write down 5 or 6 things that need to take place before achieving this overarching goal, and I want you to put a date next to each of them. A date where you're absolutely committed to achieving this. So go ahead and take a couple minutes to do that. Again, pause this. So I need you to write out simple steps that only you are responsible for. I also need you to date these in order of importance, and I need you to list them in importance. So once you do that, again, take a minute to do this. Come back. We're going to jump into step 3. Step 3, we're going to create massive leverage. Now, what do you mean by that, Thomas? Well, I believe that the 2 main human motivating factors are pain and pleasure. And it's my argument, it's something Tony would agree with as well, that pain is a stronger motivator than pleasure. Now you say, Thomas, I followed you up into this point. Step 1, step 2 made sense. What do you mean pain is a stronger motivator than pleasure? Well, let me give you an example. In your life, if you had $10,000 right now, would you do more to protect that $10,000 if you knew somebody was coming to steal it? Or would you do more to earn an additional $10,000? Now, it would be my guess that sitting in the seat where you are right now, you would do more to protect that $10,000, and that's fine, because that illustrates the point. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Pain is a stronger motivator than pleasure, so we're going to work both sides of the spectrum here to get exactly what you want. And in order to create that massive pain, I'm going to take you through something called a Dickens pattern. Now, again, the Dickens pattern is something that Tony came up with, but what it does is it takes the example of Ebenezer Scrooge from Charles Dickens' book, The Christmas Story. And I don't know if you read the book or you watched the movie, but I'm sure you can remember, how much of a curmudgeon Ebenezer Scrooge was. So in the first scene, he's even talking to his employees. He's not heating the building they're working in to save money. Everyone hates this guy. They can't stand this guy. And then by the end of the movie, he's handing out Christmas dinners. He's eating with Tiny Tim. He's slicing the ham. So what happened between the beginning and the end of the movie? Well, that's exactly what the Dickens pattern is. In the middle of the movie, he's met by these 3 ghosts, and more importantly, the ghost of Christmas present and Christmas future. Because this ghost walked him through this exercise. He said, listen, Scrooge, if you keep living your life like this, here's the result. And the result that Scrooge saw, he said, okay, I'm going to be dead, I'm going to be alone, and beggars are going to be selling my stuff. He created ultimate pain behind acting the way he is. And by the end of the story, he made a 180 turnaround. And that's what I hope we get from doing this brief exercise right now today. So again, this is going to be a writing exercise, and it's going to go off of step 1 and 2. So what I want you to do, write down a year from now. We need to create some real pain. So a year from now, if you don't achieve this goal that you set out for yourself, what's life going to be like? How's life going to be different? Have you let yourself down? Have you let your family down? Maybe your friends down? Are you trustworthy? Ask yourself these kind of questions. Create pain. Look at yourself a year from now not achieving this goal. What does a year from now not look like? And I'll give you a second, but I'm hoping that we're going on the honor system now. You pause this, you create some massive pain for yourself. So give yourself a second, and then come back, and we're going to stretch that out a little bit further. In 5 years, if you do not achieve this goal that you've committed to absolutely achieving for yourself, what does that look like? Does that have a physical impact on you? When you look in the mirror, are you looking at the same person you look at today? Or are you looking at an individual who's beaten down, who's dejected, who can't get anything done? Are there doors that have closed off to you at this point? Are there relationships that are no longer there in your life? Ask yourself these kind of questions. And they're painful, but make this painful. This is the point. If you want a complete turnaround, if you want what Scrooge got, you need to make this real. You want this to be painful, because I want you to have this goal. So pause this, write that down, and then we're really going to stretch out. We're going to go 10 years into the future. Now, 10 years into the future, you have not achieved this goal that you and you alone have set for yourself, and only you are responsible for its achievement. So what's that going to look like? 10 years from now, what other decisions have you made? If you haven't achieved this goal, surely there are other goals you haven't achieved. Scrooge, at the end of his story, he was cold, dead, alone, and his stuff was being sold by beggars. I want you to go that deep. Who is still around you? Who still wants to associate with somebody who can't achieve a goal they've set for themselves? If you're letting yourself down, surely you're letting others down. Maybe your boss. I doubt that you're at the same job. Are you at the same job? Are you in the same house? Do you live with your parents? I don't know what the situation may be, but make this painful. Make it real. Once you're done with this, I promise you it'll all make sense. Let's move on to step 4. Now, step 4 is all about creating accountability, right? So in step 1 through 3, we went all through the intrinsic motivation. Now we need to get some extrinsic motivation because we've done such a good job inside. Now we got to go to the people in our lives that we respect. Now, I don't know who that person is in your life, but I'm sure there's somebody in your mind, somebody who wants the best for you, somebody's going to push you, and somebody who wants to see you achieve. That's the person that you're afraid to let down, the person that under no circumstance do you want them thinking any less of you. I need you to take this goal to them. I need you to let them know, and I need that person to continue pushing and driving you to get there, because they're not going to be responsible for it, but they're certainly going to help. And the more people you can tell, the more people hold you accountable. To everybody watching this video, one of my goals by December 31st, I'm going to have lost 40 pounds. Right now I'm 265 pounds. By December 31st, I'm absolutely committing to be 225 or less. And keep watching these videos because you're going to see the progression, and hopefully it'll prove to you that this actually works, because I promise you that it does. So with all these 4 points, hopefully you found this beneficial. I promise you if you implement them in your life, you will see an immediate change, but only if you implement this, because remember, only you are responsible for these goals. And if you don't achieve those goals, it's another concept called extreme ownership, which we'll get into in a later video, but you need to own this. This is your goal. And if this is something that you found to be beneficial, I would ask you to please share this video, because this is something, a goal of mine I want to do. I want to be able to continue sharing these kind of videos because knowledge is power, and if you share that, it only makes those around you better, and that's something I'd like to do. So guys, thank you for tuning in, thank you for watching, and let's get everything that we want today.